Howdy folks, welcome to the Daily Coin. My name is Rory, and today is Wednesday, May the 23rd, 2018. I have the very distinct honor and great pleasure of welcoming a gentleman to the show for the first time. And from everything that I've read, everything that I've been told, this is a person that we all need to meet. This is someone that we should probably try to emulate and be more like as we try to be better citizens of the world. And I'm speaking of Mr. Bob Lindsey, and Bob is running for sheriff of Los Angeles County, which is one of the largest judicial areas in the country. And as a lot of you all are aware, California as a whole is having a lot of problems. Los Angeles is having a lot of problems, being in the southern portion of California. Bob, welcome to the Daily Coin.
Rory, thank you so much for having me. I'm appreciative, and God bless everybody that's listening.
Well, I'm glad that you're here, and I want to start with concealed carry. And David Clark, as you are aware, he's the Detroit, Michigan sheriff that captured national attention a few years ago when he told the citizens of Detroit to arm themselves, as the police would not be able to respond in a timely manner. And Bob, as a citizen, if I lived in Los Angeles County, would I be able to conceal or open carry? And if not, would this help in curtailing crime? And would you be able to influence legislation to push through conceal, open carry?
Well, that is a great question, Rory, and let me tell you what's happening right now with the current sheriff, because I think that's a good starting point.
Okay.
We have 10.5 million people here in Los Angeles County, and as the sheriff, you're responsible for all 10.5 million. Currently, the sheriff has only given out to 10.5 million people 190 CCWs. So let's put that in perspective.
Wow.
Because that's a 0.000006% of the population that he believes, the current sheriff believes, need to be able to defend themselves, which personally, I think everybody needs to defend themselves in Los Angeles County, and they have the right to the Second Amendment, the constitutional right, to be able to go ahead and carry a concealed weapon, providing that they don't have the felonious record which would prohibit it, providing they pass a training class and they can shoot straight, and then lastly, that they apply for the CCW. Now here in LA County, this is what he is using and what other sheriffs across the land use. There's the thing called good cause. And so some people, some sheriffs or some police chiefs will limit good cause. In other words, meaning, well, you have to have been raped 4 times and then we'll consider it. We had an incident out here where we had a black gentleman who literally had his car set on fire, and then the N-word put all over his house. He applied for a CCW and he was denied.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, absolutely. And the next thing that happened to him, somebody came into his garage and hit him in the side of the head with a baseball bat.
You got to be kidding. So, and that doesn't warrant good cause. Then certainly I don't even know what to say.
Well, and neither did he. And if you go to my website, which is bob4sheriff.com, we actually interviewed him. And he's a testament to an individual, and this is an educator, by the way. This isn't just some guy out there. This is a man who was fearing for his life where he lived, and an educated man. And so that has nothing to do with getting a CCW, but I'm just saying when he applied, he was articulate. It wasn't like he blew it when he was telling the story of why he needed one. But here's my belief. My belief is that good cause is simply you put on a piece of paper, I need it for self-defense. That's good cause. And that's the constitutional right that we have been given. So here in Los Angeles County, CCWs are really necessary. And you ask the question, will it curtail crime? Of course it curtails crime. We know that there's all sorts of studies out there which get buried, by the way. And even for the women listening out there, This is a very, very important part of what you should think about to protect your family, because we know that a lot of the women are out there walking around to the malls and everywhere else with their children. And we never know what's going to happen here in Los Angeles County. Crime here is up in the last 4 years, violent crime, robberies, assaults, by over 60%. And the current sheriff is saying it's down. I mean, he's giving a false narrative, and that's not unusual for somebody who's trying to get reelected. But guns will help save lives if they're in the hands of the right people, responsible people, good people. Because, Rory, here in LA County, the bad guys have the guns.
Right.
They don't go by the rules. So yes, I'm very much in favor of CCWs. In fact, I have endorsements both from Cal Guns and from the California Rifle Pistol Association.
Nice. That's great, and that's what's needed. I have long said that if you don't have or exercise your God-given right codified by the Second Amendment of the Constitution to defend yourself, then you are making yourself a target. Why would you want to be a target when you can shoot back? And one of the things that's happened between what happened in Parkland, Florida, and what happened in just recently in Houston, Texas, is that there were 4 different mass shootings that were curtailed because people were shooting back. Those were never reported in the mass media, and they never will be reported because it doesn't support the narrative of confiscating our weapons. But that's a story for another day.
No, Roy, you're absolutely right. In fact, there was an FBI article that came out recently that said there were 10 shootings that kept people from walking into the school and killing people. And this is huge. Here in Los Angeles County, we have not been hit in the school yet, and I emphasize yet, because we are a big target. Right now, we have open schools, and they're gun-free zones. I mean, there are many people that, I myself, in certain circumstances, have to, even though I have 40 years of law enforcement experience, have to disarm myself when I go into a school, because I'm not currently a 32 PC, so which is an active police officer. But so it's a very, very tenuous situation. Every day I have 5 grandbabies, 5 little girls that go to school, and I'm scared every day for them until we harden our schools and put people in there capable of protecting our children. It's a sad day when people are going online buying bulletproof backpacks for their children to go to school.
It's terrible. It shouldn't be that way. It really shouldn't. I'm sorry, but morale, I want to move to that. Morale, I understand, is super low among law enforcement all across California, and according to at least one report I've read, Los Angeles is suffering as well. And Bob, from what I can understand, it seems like the deputies all have their hands tied there in Los Angeles County, and resources are just simply being misappropriated. I mean, what type of impact would having the resources properly appropriated, what impact would that have on morale, and what changes specifically would you make?
Well, there's a lot of changes that need to be made within the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. And first of all, and Rory, thank you for bringing this up, because this isn't Bob Lindsey saying morale is bad. It's not one individual, and it's not Rory saying it's bad. It was a survey done by the union. And let me tell you, because there's really 2 surveys that were done. The first survey was done by the Professional Peace Officers Association, and that association did a survey, and that their clientele, if you want to call it their membership, is commanders, captains, lieutenants, sergeants, custody assistants, law enforcement technicians, the DA's office, investigators, and a few more classifications. The morale that they voted on that came back is the lowest basically since 1850.
Oh my goodness.
It's that low. And that was over a year ago, and if they took the vote today, it is even more dismal. Now there's a second vote that occurred, And this is, you can call it a vote of confidence or no confidence. The deputy union, which is an extremely powerful union, they took a vote of the deputy sheriffs. And 93% of those surveyed said they want Bob Lindsey as their sheriff. 93% of the deputies. Now, that's a pretty overwhelming margin. When nobody was the second category, that got 3%, or 2%, excuse me. And then the remainder, the current sheriff and another competitor got only a very small portion. So we have two differing basic polls that took place, and clearly nobody on the sheriff's department thinks anything is going right. And when you talk about morale in the department, it impacts the community. The deputy sheriffs in Los Angeles County have quit working. They're afraid. Now, most people out there will believe this, and I do too. Sometimes you're afraid of the video camera and other things that are coming your way. You're always being filmed, and then they get clipped. They don't give the whole scene. There's a lot of things that can be manipulated. And so deputies have a lot of things coming at them from the outside. But you know what? That's not their biggest fear. They're not even afraid, really, every day of being shot. They're more afraid of bad leadership, of not being defended by the sheriff when they do things right, of being terminated for the wrong reasons. Currently, we have the most deputies under investigation in the history of the department. 1,100 under investigation.
Oh my goodness.
380 relieved of duty. But the issue, and when you look at it, there's more than 100 terminated a year, 100 deputies a year. And the average prior to the sheriff coming in was 20. So that's remarkable when you think about the fear that the deputies have from their own department. And let me give you one example, Rory, and I don't mean to go on so long, but this is such a vital issue to the entire department. I got a call the other day, about 4 days ago, from a deputy sheriff. He had just gotten out of court. I had talked to him several months before because he's a deputy without pay. He's a deputy at home, probably going to lose his house. And the judge, when he finally got to court, looked at this deputy, looked at the district attorney, and said, "Why is this deputy even in here? There is not one shred of evidence against him. How can he possibly be in court?" And the district attorney got up and got all mad. And then the judge once again asked, "Give me one piece of evidence why you have him in criminal court." And the district attorney couldn't.
Wow.
And these are the things that the deputies are putting up with. And here's the sadness to the story. Deputy after deputy after deputy is losing their home. Many of them, because this is their career for 20 years, have been talked out of committing suicide. Some of them are homeless. And I've talked to deputies who literally have given their children to their relatives because they can't afford them anymore. Now, ultimately, they get their jobs back, but it's after their lives have been destroyed. So these are the things that the papers don't talk about. These are the things that the public doesn't know. And this is one of the reasons, out of many, why I'm running for Los Angeles County Sheriff.
Yeah, and it seems like, Bob, that what you just described is probably prevalent throughout all of California, possibly all of the nation, because we see these different stories, or I read stories from around the country where the police aren't acting very nice towards the citizens. And what you described, it seems like probably what I'm reading and seeing is a lashing out based on something that you just described, because that's just human nature. I'm not defending bad behavior on either side of the scenario. I'm just saying that is possibly some of what we're seeing, some of what I'm seeing is based on that, because what you just described is not being reported, and it is horrific, and I can't even imagine what it would do to the psychology of someone who is out literally putting their life on the line every day. And it just, I can't even imagine not having that backup that that a person would need to be able to step out into the field. I, I don't even know. Wow. It's
Yeah,
incredible.
Rory, we need to vigorously and aggressively pursue the termination of bad cops. That is very important because one bad cop can give an agency a bad name for a very long time, because that's what's run in the papers. That's what's run on the news, is that one incident, and they run it for a week or 2 weeks, and then it comes back when it goes to court. So no police officer likes a bad cop, and we need to deal with those. But the good cops, the hardworking cops, the cops that are out there to protect us, the cops that came on with in mind, I want to serve the community.
Right.
Those are the people that if they make a mistake, for God's sakes, even cops are human.
Right.
And we have to be paying attention to the compassionate part of it for both the community and the police officers.
Yes, exactly. Because at the end of the day, we're both members of the same community.
Indeed.
So, in 2017, Breitbart reported that Los Angeles County had the most fugitives from justice and were actually being kept from ICE officers to avoid deportation. I mean, Bob, that just sounds insane to me. And how does something like that happen? And what is the solution?
Well, that's a pure political move by the current sheriff. And he is a political baiter, is what he is. I mean, what he does is he will speak to one Republican club and tell them one thing, speak to a Democratic club, tell them another thing. He's been caught literally in the LA Times where they asked him about, is ICE in the jails? And he told everybody, no, they are not. And then they did an investigation, an inspection, I should probably call it, into the jails. And guess who they found in the jails? They found ICE in the jails. So he was lying to the immigrant community about how he was handling it. So he goes back and forth. But in 2017, you're absolutely right. Los Angeles County was #1 in not giving the felons and the others that were supposed to be given to ICE. Now, here's the issue here in Los Angeles County. We have probably somewhere in the area of about 12,000 MS-13 gang members that we need to deal with. We need to get them gone.
Yes.
We have multiple people that fall under what we call Senate Bill 54. And many classifications. I think there's something like 54 classifications of people that we need to deport. We have to get them out of here. And we need to do it without releasing them into the community where, one, they're going to victimize whether you're a citizen or an undocumented individual, because that's what they do. They victimize people.
Right.
And so the issue is, the minute we have them in custody, we can't let them go. We have to get them to ICE as efficiently as possible. And the current sheriff didn't do that, as you mentioned, for a long time. And now he's trying to go back and forth figuring out what he should do. But I have a clear position, and that is all these criminals need to get out of California, out of the United States. We don't even need to transport them into another state, which is where they would go and come back. We have to get them out of the country. And secondarily, I spend a lot of time in the immigrant community, a tremendous amount of time. And I am going to tell you, whether citizen or undocumented, they all feel the same way. There is no argument anywhere here in LA County, and I have been in almost all 4,100 square miles. They want the same thing. But what we hear on the radio, what we hear on the TV, what we hear from politicians is a lie. Everybody, the community, needs to get together with the sheriff and make this happen. The last thing we need is this, in this subject. We don't need ICE going to doors in the community looking for these individuals. We need them handed over from the jail, because when ICE goes into the community and begins kicking the doors, this is where shootings occur.
Right.
This is the wrong houses are actually hit many times. Where they'll knock down your door, you don't even see them coming because somebody gave a fake address. And so we really need to associate ourselves with ICE in fulfilling Senate Bill 54 and removing all of the criminals out of here.
That's been one of my fears as far as President Trump and some of the initiatives and that he has brought forth in wanting to try to get a handle on all of the illegal immigrants in this country. And that's is what you described as far as, you know, ICE agents going door to door, because like you said, that's where you're going to create huge problems in those communities. And what you described as far as once an illegal immigrant arrives in the jail system, then call ICE and have them handle them and get them out. Not out of the state, not out of the county, but out of the country. And because illegal is illegal. And that's, I'm not sure what's so difficult to understand about that, but you know, illegal is still illegal at my house. So.
Right, and the focus here in California obviously is on those that have committed the felonies. I don't know if you've had a chance, Roy, to review Senate Bill 54, but you know, my other belief is there's probably some other violent crimes. I mean, let's face it. You know, they here classified rape of an unconscious individual as nonviolent. That's nonviolent because they're unconscious. And
my God.
You know, so I mean, there's just it's backwards. These are the things that the sheriff should be standing up and going, what in the, I can't say it, I don't think, are you thinking?
Yeah.
What are you thinking? How can rape of an unconscious individual not be violent? This is where the play on words, you know, our Safe Neighborhoods Act, people here in California voted on what was known as the Safe Neighborhood Act. And so many people went out, and who doesn't want a safe neighborhood?
Right.
And so they voted, yes, we want safe neighborhoods. And you know what that act was? It was to release felony prisoners from the state prisons. So they actually take a measure, put on the title a false narrative. People believe the false narrative without reading the rest of the bill, and they vote for something and actually vote the wrong way just simply by title.
Yep. Yeah, that's been a trick that the politicians learned a couple of decades ago, that we can just simply lie in the title of a bill and it'll be okay. Nobody will be the wiser for it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Until you're the victim, and then you figure it out.
Right. And as far as the rape of an unconscious victim, that should be in a whole nother category of rape. It should be elevated, because that breaks my heart to even hear that somebody would think along those lines. It's disgusting. But Bob, you have 40 years experience, as I stated earlier in the interview, that you are in the largest judicial area in the country and possibly even the world. With your 40 years experience, combine that with the fact that you have written several training manuals that are still in use today. And it seems that you could choose to help any community that you wish, and that you would be welcomed with open arms. I mean, why Los Angeles? I mean, why not a smaller county with fewer headaches?
Well, you know, I have a special love for the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. I spent over 32 years there, working 25 different assignments, 5 patrol stations, 5 custody facilities, surveillance, gangs. I trained academy recruits. I worked advanced officer training. I worked multiple administrative assignments. I was the director of personnel, a captain running the whole department of 18,000 people for 5 years, doing all the hiring, the recruitment, you know, payroll, anything HR related, and another 12 jobs. But during that time, I hired somewhere in the area of probably 7,000 deputies. And so the sheriff's department is family to me. And, you know, when I didn't really retire in 2011, I was a deputy, a sergeant, a lieutenant, a captain, and then a commander on the department. In 2011, I got a job offer. I got recruited to the state to oversee the 40 Los Angeles County Superior Courts. And so I was the director of security overseeing that, and ironically, overseeing the deputy sheriffs in all the courts. So I oversaw the command staff of the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. So truly I have 40 years at the Sheriff's Department. And I was getting ready to retire, Rory, and I looked back. I have a son who's a deputy, a brother who's a deputy, a nephew who's a deputy, and I saw the terror that was occurring inside the department. I saw that crime was up, and not only up, exploding. The homeless situation here is increased dramatically. The mental health problems that are here, the morale on the department. This current sheriff is 1,500 deputies down, causing a major catastrophe within the organization and the community. He's $200 million over budget. And I know this is a program that people understand money. He has a $3.2 billion budget, and he can't stay within it.
Wow.
Yeah, and so, I mean, I could go on for the next 5 minutes about all the problems. But I went to my wife and I said, honey, I know we're supposed to retire here because I've been married to her for 39 years. And I said, this is the time of life where we're supposed to now sort of go somewhere, put our feet up, relax, maybe look at a lake somewhere, go on vacations and do those sorts of things. But I said, look, this is a real problem. The department I love, the department that kept me away from you, honey, for all those years is now suffering. It's dying. It's collapsing. And I don't even know how this guy did it. I don't know how the current sheriff can destroy an institution in a simple 3 years, but he did. And I said, we need to do something about it. Are you in? And my wife said, absolutely, 100%. And she knows what these deputies are going through. And when you have a son who's a deputy and a husband who was, she has the heart to do this also. So because my heart, I was born here in LA at Queen of Angels Hospital. I've lived here in the Los Angeles area. I have 5, baby girls that are going to be going through the system here in LA. I felt it was time to take a last stand. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm standing up, and I'll tell you, Roy, there's a lot of people standing with me out here because they are sick and tired of what is going on. So that really, in a nutshell, is why I did it. I believe my experience, my 40 years of experience, brings something to the agency. The guy that's in there now truly only has 3 years of experience in what is the largest Titanic department in the entire world. Before this thing actually sinks into that iceberg, we need to make a really quick left turn, then a right turn, and then take that ship and put it in the right direction.
I like it. I think that based on what you've been saying right here, Bob, it sounds like your head's in the right place, your heart's in the right place, and it sounds like you have the tools in order to make that happen. And
well, thank you.
If I were able to vote for you, I certainly would. I'll tell you that right now. That's what we need.
Yeah, Roy, I don't think it's too late to move. I mean, if I could encourage you to.
I'm comfortable here in the South.
Yeah, well, it is beautiful there, and I have to tell you, in all my travels, we love to go into the South, and what a beautiful place to be.
It really is. I've tried to leave here a couple times, and it just hasn't worked. So, but this has been really great, Bob. And what I would like to do is I want to keep in touch with you, and I would love to invite you back for a victory celebration to let everybody know that you are in fact taking the reins and that you are in fact righting the ship. And if you would accept my invitation, I would love for that to happen.
Well, Rory, God bless you for that, and I claim that, by the way. And indeed, it would be a privilege to once again speak with you and be with you, and someday I hope to visit you.
Yes, sir. And if I remember correctly, Bob, we can find out more about your program and your plans at bob4sheriff.com. Is that right?
That's correct, the number 4. So it's Bob, the number 4, sheriff.com. and that will take you to my website. And in that website, you can go and follow us on Instagram. We have Facebook. Just enjoy yourself. Troll the site. You'll see all my positions. I don't hide anything. I am who I am, and I stand for what I believe in.
Well, we certainly appreciate that, and I can assure you that I will be in touch with you in the not too distant future, and we'll have you back on. And what I'd like to do, Bob, is get into the victory celebration and discuss more about what's actually happening and how you are going to address some of these problems.
Rory, thank you very much, and thank you to all of your listeners for not only tuning in, but for spending the time on this interview.
Well, thank you so much, and have a wonderful afternoon.
Okay. God bless, Rory. Take care. Bye-bye.